Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Boss Spotlight. I am Tamara Diane, your boss exec. We are so excited this morning. We have Mr. Dave Anderson on. He is the president of LearnToLead, and so we're going to hear about his new book. We're going to learn about his company and how we can apply some leadership principles into running a successful small business. Just because you might be a solopreneur does not mean that you are not a leader in your own right. You still have to lead your following, your potential, your current customers. And we're going to learn all about how we can do that. And I'm just super excited to have him on the show this morning. We want to just thank you again to our sponsors. We cannot leave them out. Without them, this would not be possible. We want to thank you for Fifth Third Bank, New York Life, and Didactic Designs for being our partners. And I'm so excited this morning. So just a little brief thing about Mr. Anderson. He is the president, and he's an author and president of LearnToLead, which is an international sales and leadership training consulting company. He is also the co-founder, along with his wife, of the Matthew 25 and 35 Foundation, which their mission is to bring food, housing, clothing, and healing to underserved and imprisoned people around the world. So it is an honor to have you on the show today. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Tamara, and thank you so much for having me on your show.
Well, it is my pleasure. I know that you are super busy, so I just want to say thank you again for taking the time out to chat with us. So tell us a little bit about your newest book, It's Not Rocket Science, that just hit the shelves on October 5th.
Well, it's not rocket science. It's all about how to execute. And for years, I dealt with the questions from business people. What am I doing wrong? I have goals, I have the strategy, but I'm still not getting the results. And so I thought we need a book on how to take those goals and strategy and to convert it into results. So it's all about getting the right things done, taking your goals and actually making them happen, and focusing more on daily activities, because that's where execution has to take place, the activities.
I love that. And that's huge, especially when you're, a solopreneur and you have all these massive goals, and even for the month and every month after month, we're continuing to miss them and miss the mark. So that's an awesome book. That's an awesome premise and definitely necessary in the corporate world, I'm sure, but also trying to get some things off the ground as well.
That's right. And, that's what I like about execution. It is simple. It's not rocket science if you have a process to follow. And the book lays out a process that, someone just working for themselves with no employees can follow every day, or major corporations can follow. The process is very adaptable.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk really briefly in regards to execution. How does that play, or how do you see the importance of that when you're running a small business?
Well, when you're running a small business, there's less margin for error. Normally we don't have the funding, we don't have the personnel, that can pick up the slack. So much of it is on us, or it's on us and one or two or three other people. And so I believe in small businesses, there's less margin for error. We can't afford to have unproductive days. We can't afford to have unproductive people. And so more than ever, we need a process that helps us and them get more of the right things done. Notice I didn't say just get more done, because that's the problem. A lot of us are getting a lot done. It's not the right things that are moving us towards our goals.
Absolutely. So there's a difference between being productive and being busy.
Well, yeah, so many people, they mistake motion for progress. There's a lot of motion every day. There's no progress. There's a lot of speed. It's in the wrong direction. There's a lot of activity. At the end of the day, we're just tired and like, where's the accomplishment? And so it's all about focusing on what matters most daily.
Absolutely. I love that. So why do you believe that despite good intentions and working really hard, that leaders still miss their mark and miss their goals?
They don't actually have an execution process. I hold seminars, Tamara, about 120 times a year. I've spoken in 16 countries, and I've done this for 16 years. And I would ask even really highly placed managers, leaders in big companies, define for me your execution process. Give me the steps, step by step. What is it? I get blank looks most of the time. They say general things like, well, we set objectives, we hold meetings, we follow through, but they don't have a step-by-step process. And so again, every day they're spread a mile wide and an inch deep, and they don't have a process that's narrowly focused on those goals that matter the most. And then what they've got to do every day to get there. And so that's why I wrote the book, to give people that process. And without it, you're going to work long and hard, and you may be successful, but you're going to miss your potential by a mile. And there's a big difference between being successful and reaching your full potential.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's huge, especially, small businesses and education and everything to have that process in place. And I'm guilty as charged. So I cannot wait to read your book because it's definitely something that I need help with for sure. So what do you think that one particular factor is that you see across the board that is holding people back?
You know, let me tell you what it's not, and then I'll tell you what I believe it is. I don't believe it's lack of work ethic. People say, well, he just doesn't work hard. I believe most entrepreneurs work hard. They want to succeed. So I don't think we suffer because lack of work ethic. I don't think we suffer because of lack of desire. We want it. We want a better life for ourselves. We want to create value for our customers. We want a better life for our family. So it's not lack of work ethic, and it's not lack of desire. It's lack of focus. We don't have that focus. In the book, I call it on the ultimate few, those handful of goals that deserve disproportionate amounts of our time, energy, and effort. When my wife and I started our business, I ran a large automotive dealership group, and it was bought out, and they forced me out. And we started it on our kitchen table, a training business 16 years ago. And we were guilty of this. We were trying to be everything to everybody and come up with all these products and services that could serve everyone. And we were chasing 20 different goals. And Tamara, we had divided our energy by 20 and our time by 20, and we were given about 5% effort to 20 different things. We weren't doing any of them particularly well. And when we decided to focus on the ultimate few, really focus on a leadership niche, really believing that if the leaders aren't right, nothing's going to be right in an organization. When we made that decision to figure out how we could give, leaders more tools and let them build their organizations, our whole company started to change. And so we have to get focused. Leaders have to get focused on what matters most. There are 20 things that might be important to all of us, but I'm not talking about the good ones or the great ones. I'm talking about the best ones. What are those best goals that if you give energy to those and time to those, they're going to drive the rest of your business forward?
Absolutely. That's huge, especially, the small business owners, we feel that the more we have to offer, the more successful we're going to be. And we lose that focus that if we just have that one thing, at least
Right.
starting out, just that one thing that we do particularly exceptional, then that's going to drive us forward. So that's awesome. That is awesome. So how important is it for leaders to have like genuine buy-in from their followers?
You
And
know,
and let's talk about specifically if we do have employees, but then also on the other side for the solopreneur, that social media following, that potential customer following. How important is that buy-in?
Oh, it's huge. Whether you're getting it from your customers, from prospective customers, or from your employees. I actually even talk about this in the book. I talk about the 5 keys of buy-in. I call them 5 C's. They all start with C. People need to buy into your character. All right. First of all, can I trust you? And trusting is more than do you lie, cheat, or steal. A big one is, do you keep your commitments? If you say you're going to do something, will you keep that commitment? Second one is, are you competent? Okay, that gets you buy-in. If people really believe you know what you're doing, but they may like you, but if they don't think you know what you're doing, they're really not going to want to do business with you or follow you. And the third is consistency. I need to know that I can count on you every time, to have character and to be competent, not that it's just occasional. And then compassion. Do you care about me? Do you care about me as an employee, or am I just another head in a herd of cattle? Am I just another means to an end? Do you spend time with me? Do you know how to motivate me? Do you give me tools? And if I'm a customer, I've got to believe that you care about me and my goals, that you're not just going to make it about you, but you're aligning yourself with helping me reach what I need to do. So character, competence, consistency, compassion, and then commitment. How committed are you? If I'm an employee, I'm looking at you. How committed are you? What price are you paying? What changes do I see you making? Don't ask me to run through a wall if you're just tapping on it. And when I'm the customer, how committed are you to my success? How committed are you? Now, what I would suggest, Tamara, is when we prove ourselves in these areas, and we do it every day, not with just words, but with actions. When people buy into us, they will start to buy into our product. They'll buy into our vision. They'll buy into where we're trying to take them, whether they are an employee or whether they're a customer. But you can't assume buy-in. We have to earn it, and we earn it every single day by doing the right things.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, how would somebody, if they're trying to develop this, and I see this all the time, and we were talking very briefly off camera about how now that we have social media, marketing has been kind of transformed in a sense. And so we have all of these people that are honestly doing great things. They're just trying to make sales. They're trying to connect with more people, but they're using it more as a sounding board than it is to, actually make genuine connections. So how would somebody use a tool like social media to prove these 5 C's to their potential customers or potential partners?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I love what you said about people who use it as a sounding board. Let's talk about what not to do. You can become so divisive and such a repellent by ranting and expressing political views and some of these other, or just complaining about people you do business with all the time. I've unfollowed more people on Twitter that I once thought I could get value from, just because that's not why I was following. I didn't want to hear their rants. I didn't want to hear their points of view and these different things. I want people who can add value to me. And I try to add value to my followers. And so what can we do to drive value? Okay, not just always trying to sell something. There's nothing wrong with throwing in a marketing message from time to time, but you need to be adding value 5, 6, 7 times more than you're trying to market something. So what tips can you suggest? What referrals can you share? What advice, can you give? What can you do to where people can see, I'm getting value to my life. I'm finding value to my family. I'm finding value for my business by following this person. I'm just not being bombarded with their opinions and their sentiments. And don't get me wrong, I have opinions and sentiments too. I just don't rant over social media. My poor wife has to bear the brunt of that stuff, and that doesn't last very long there either, I can guarantee you. But use it as a way to build value. That attracts people to you. They want to be around you. They want to rally around someone who is helping them. And I've made such great contacts, yourself included, through social media, just by trying to be a place where people could find value. Include a link to an article or a blog that you wrote on a topic. You should, entrepreneurs should be writing little blog pieces, of advice and things that they do really well, and including links to that so people can find it. And, little short videos that you can make today with such easy, inexpensive technology where you explain how to do different things, and, tweet those things out. Don't give the whole store away, but give little bits and pieces to where people say, I'm getting value here. I want to do more business and learn more about this person.
Absolutely. That value piece is huge, and it is unfortunately missing. But those who are watching, you can do that. You can do it for free. You don't have to worry about, just always trying to make a sale and make a sale and make a sale. You can do that, but once you start adding value to all the content that you're putting out there, it's definitely better than saying, okay, you're having a sale this week. Talk about even, and correct me if I'm wrong, even talk about how whatever it is you're trying to sell would add value to somebody's
Yes.
life, and pull those pieces in. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. You want to show the connection between what you're doing and how it creates the value you're talking about. And people expect that, but they just don't want to be bombarded by that. And they don't want to have to sift through all the marketing stuff to try to find that nugget of good. And so make sure it's in right proportion.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, before we go, tell us a little bit about your Matthew 25:35 Foundation.
When my wife and I started this foundation 7 years ago, and it's based on the verse Matthew 25:35, where Jesus talks about, I was hungry and you fed me, and thirsty and you gave me something to drink, and about, visiting me in prison. And so we work along that mission. And we have outreaches around the world and here in Los Angeles. I'm based in the LA area. And for instance, one of our projects is we help feed 450 orphans a day over in the Ukraine. They're gypsies, they're discriminated against, they're forced to live in these filthy, oppressive camps, and the government despises the gypsies. And so when these kids, when their parents die, they are very prone to get into sex trafficking and all sorts of terrible things. And so through churches there, we help support 450 of them a day to give them a better future, give them education. We have a village in Nepal of 2,000 people that we've made a 5-year commitment to help become self-sustaining. These are unreached people in a very remote part. We actually have someone that lives on the ground and teaches them about this self-sustaining morals, ethics, planting food. We dug wells in their village, Tamara, and it eliminated sex trafficking because the women were walking 2 miles to get water while the men sat in the village and played board games. And that's when the sex traffickers were picking them off. And just by digging wells in their village, we've been able to virtually eliminate sex trafficking. But then here in LA, we have an area just a few miles from Beverly Hills called Skid Row, and it's a 50 square block area where 1,700 people live in boxes, and many of them are veterans. A few miles from Beverly Hills, veterans who are preyed on by gangs and they can't get their medication and they're forced to take and to sell drugs by the gangs in those areas. And so we're working with the LAPD in these areas to help bring assistance and get these people lined up in the right places, and to help the police there better support these people, and to keep the gangs from them. And so we're working a lot there to provide sleeping bags and backpacks, but long-term solutions, getting them onto a path to where they can get housing and so forth. So we have a wide array of things that we deal with. Battered women's shelters. I think it's a sad thing for a man to batter his family, and it's just incredibly evil. And so we support battered women's shelters and the homeless. And so we've been blessed with opportunities over the last 7 years to get involved in all of these. And so everything we make in our business means more because so much of it we channel over into our foundation. So thank you for asking about that.
I love that piece. And I ask because I think that a lot of times as small business owners, we feel that we don't have enough to give. So, we're I guess we have that mindset. This is when I make it this, make this or when I have this much consistent sales, then I'll be able to give back and to make a difference. But I feel that you can do that even now in small, subtle ways. And so I love to, be able to hear about how our guests are giving back, and what advice would you give to that entrepreneur that knows the importance of giving? They know the importance of giving time, talents, and treasures, but they just don't feel like they have enough to give right now.
I can only speak from my personal experience, and of course I have a biblical worldview, so I follow that. But if you wait until you feel that you have enough to give, you'll always rationalize doing the wrong thing or doing not enough. Giving starts the receiving process. And in our business, we found that God does not let us down. And there were times where we felt we didn't have enough to give, but we consistently tithed. We paid God first, and He's always taken care of us. We've been in business now for 16 years, and we've always tried to honor God, not just with our lips, but with our dollars, because that's really where your heart is. And if you can't honor Him with your dollars, then you're really not honoring Him with your heart. And so by putting Him first, He always has blessed us with great clients and opportunities. Hasn't always been easy, but I'll tell you what, we're a 16-year-old company. In the last 2 years, we've doubled in size again with the same number of employees, because God continues to bless us with more wisdom and how to get more done. So put Him first, trust Him. If you're, as a Christian, I can just say this: if you're trusting Him with your salvation, why wouldn't you trust Him with your money?
Very good point. That's tweetable. Tweet that. Well, thank you so much again for being on the show, for chatting with us, for just spending some time with us. I know that you're extremely busy, so I do not take your time lightly. But before we go, is there any last words you want to leave with our viewers?
I have a mentor. I'm doing this interview from my study in my house, and you can't see it, but I have a library over here to the side. And in this library, there's every book and CD ever written by a gentleman named Jim Rohn, Rohn. And he was one of my mentors, and he passed away a few years ago. And Jim was a real common sense guy, and probably the most wise thing I ever heard and applied from him is simply this: your business gets better when you get better. And you get better when you go to work on yourself. Never wish it were easier, wish you were better. And so, I think the key to building a great business is first building a great you as a leader, becoming more knowledgeable, becoming more focused, more disciplined, more capable, but also, taking care of the other parts of your life as well, because what good does it do you to succeed in business and lose your health and lose your family and you lose your spiritual well-being? So have it in the right order, but continue to work on you spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, skill-wise. That's when your business is going to get better, when you get better in those areas. If you want to get more than you got to become more than you are. And that happens by working on yourself in your daily routine. So I would just leave your viewers with that.
Thank you so much. And that is a mouthful, but definitely something to take into consideration. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the end of our show. I want to say thank you again to our sponsors. Thank you to Fifth Third Bank, New York Life, and Didactic Designs. We also want you to connect with Dave. You can connect with him on Twitter at DaveAnderson100. Also, feel free to email him, Dave at LearnToLead.com, and then make sure you check out his new book, It's Not Rocket Science. Thank you so much again for watching. Thank you all for taking the time out and chatting with us. We're definitely going to be making sure we're applying those things that we learned from his book and from this interview. Thank you again, Dave, for your time, your energy, and your efforts. I'm Tamara Diane, your boss exec. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at boss_exec, and I look forward to connecting with you. I want to leave you with this. Make sure that you live unapologetically the life that God has designed you to live, and great things are going to spew from it. Thank you so much for watching. You have a wonderful day.